So it's June 2025. The year has got going. You've got your dreams, you've got your goals, you've got your plan. Perhaps you've even started some new things and attempted something you've never tried before. But here we are in the middle of the year, and you have this moment where you have to ask yourself the question, am I in my flow? It's a big question, right? Like, think about flow for a moment. Like, when you're in your flow, you know it. You know that what you're doing is making waves in the world around you. You know that the way you're doing it is good for your soul. It makes you feel alive and excited. And so I've been thinking a lot about this lately, just in leadership and life. I've just been thinking, like, how do I know when I'm running in my lane, to use that language? Or maybe you've had this thought sometimes, like, am I kind of playing to the beat of another person's drum? Like, am I just outside of my thing, my rhythm, my way? And I think this can be a big deal in leadership. So I'm here to encourage you just with a thought or two around what it means to focus your fight, to run in your lane, as it would be said at June 2025. And so I was thinking of the story of David and Goliath. Everyone knows the story. I'm a faith guy. I like the Bible. I think it's full of truth that helps us in our everyday world and also kind of sets our heart alight for what we're called to do and be in this world. And so I was thinking about David as he comes down to fight the battle against Goliath. You know the story. We've heard it all over. But there's this moment where David is preparing himself to go to war, and Saul, the leader of Israel's army, looks at David and he says, "Here, David, take my armor." And so David kind of takes Saul's armor and he puts it on, and it gets weighty on him, and he takes a step or two. The scripture actually says he was awkward in the movement. And there's this moment where David goes, I can't wear your armor. I'm not used to this. Now, this is, I think, what it feels like to be out of your flow, or to not run in your lane, or to play to the beat of another man's drum. It's this feeling halfway through the year as you're trying to find your groove, you're trying to make sure the year counts, you're trying to finish strong as we look to the final kind of stages of the year or the back end. And there's this moment where you've got to ask yourself the question, have I put on armor that I'm not used to? Am I fighting in a way that's not true to who I am? Am I not focused in the fight? I love that thought, focus the fight. David's fight was against Goliath. Now he's fighting the weight of Saul's armor. Can you think about that? Like, he's got his job. He knows what he's going to do. He's excited about it. He's kind of confident in it as well. He knows the outcome. He knows God's good. He knows what he's called to and what God's good for. And here he is fighting against the weight of another man's armor. I think this can be so true of our lives. And I want to encourage you just around this idea that, you should run in your own lane. You should fight your own fight. You should focus your fight. I love it how David says these words. He says, I cannot go in these. I'm not used to them. I'm not used to this expectation. I'm not used to the feeling of this expectation. I'm not used to how it moves, how it moves me. And so here we are in this moment where we've got to ask the question, are we fighting the fight we've been called to fight? Or are we fighting according to someone's expectations? Are we building our business according to somebody else's expectations, their way on us, their weight on us? This is my marriage, but I'm trying to do it the way somebody else did it. And I'm not just learning from the wise, I'm living under the opinion of everybody, and it's weighty, and it's making it really hard. I'm raising children. I'm setting them up to love Jesus. I can't tell you how many times friends and well-meaning people have said to me along the years, you know what, Dill, your kids have to go through that phase. That, friends, is somebody else's armor, somebody else's weight. That's not for me. They don't have to go through that phase. They're my children. They're God's children. There's a different story being told of their lives. And so I got to help them and me and Tess as a family focus our fight so that we don't find ourselves going, I can't fight like you because I'm just not used to it. So there's just two things I want to encourage you with as we kind of push forward with this idea. As you focus your fight, back end of 2025, there's a race you're called to run. There's a gift that's on your life. Perhaps you're creative. Perhaps you're an entrepreneur. You're a financial guy. You're in social justice. Perhaps you're a student in high school or a varsity student, and you got these dreams and you kind of know where God's leading you. And now you're mid-year and all these different opinions and thoughts and ideas they're overwhelming you. Well, here are two things you can do to consider as you move forward. Two things I believe David did to move forward in the fight against Goliath. Number one, he acted humbly. David acted humbly. He looked at Saul and he said, Saul, I'm not like you. I don't need what you got. I'm not trained in heavy armor. I'm David. I know how to sling stones. You got to be humble enough to know who you aren't. That's a big thought. Because sometimes we walk into rooms and we just want everyone to know like we're it, like we're good to go, like we're part of the crowd. We got the conversation that they want to hear about. And I think one of the keys to walking in your own lane or fighting your fight is to be humble enough to know who you're not. I'm not what every pastor is. I got other pastor friends that are unbelievable communicators, or perhaps wait in the prophetic voice, or perhaps in the way that they build church have done things. I got to be humble enough to go, that's not me. Don't put that armor on me. Don't make me think that if I don't do it like you, I'm not doing it well. June 25, be humble. Who are you not? Who are you not? So number one, you got to have the humility to know who you are not. Number two, the courage to know who you are. Like, surely that's the second part of the equation. So David says to Saul, this arm is not me. Take it back. I cannot fight Goliath like this. This is not who I am. And then David gets a sling in his hands, and he gets courage in his heart, and he steps onto the battlefield, and we know the story. He takes out Goliath because he knows who he is. I really believe that focusing the fight, running in your lane, honestly, just kind of finding your flow, if you like, is at a foundational level. It's got these two things going on. I'm humble enough to know who I'm not, and I'm courageous enough to know who I am. And so I'm willing to go after what God's put in my heart, on my life, because of who I am, and I'm willing to smile at others that do things differently, knowing that's not who I am. Bless you. God work on your life. God do what he needs to do through your life, but that's not who I am. And so I'm going to fight Goliath with who I am, not with who I'm not. And so may you be encouraged today. May you focus your fight. May you lean in. May you run in your lane. Don't get caught up in the atmosphere of everybody talking. There's going to be a lot of opinions as to how you do this. A lot of people trying to, with well-meaning interest, put armor on you because they think it's going to help you. You know who you are. Take the armor off. Live authentic to who you are. And go after what God's called you to go after. Be courageous. Don't hold back. Be courageous. The church needs a courageous faith. One more thought. Here's a quote from a guy, Friedrich Buchner. He was a famous theologian, and he said this: our vocation, or our calling, can you say, is found where our deep gladness meets the world's deep hunger. So if you're considering, okay, well, Dill, what does that mean for my life? How do I know who I am and who I'm not? It's where your deep gladness meets the world's deep hunger. It's where that thing that makes you come alive plays out into people's everyday worlds. It could be business, could be public speaking, could be church work, could be music, could be art, could be justice, could be raising a family. Where your deep gladness meets the world's deep hunger, therein lies the secret to what you've been called to. So go after it with courage. Bless you, friends.